Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Expansive CEO Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Lauren Ammon, and we are going to talk about some practical stuff today. And I told Lauren, I'm like, for some reason, my brain is like, I don't want to explain stuff right now. So you explain where we're going, and then I'll just sit back and answer questions.
Yay. Perfect. Well, we're going to generator ourselves in and out of this conversation. So yes, this came up for me specifically as I was out. I think I was walking or running. Doesn't matter, but that's where I have a lot of my creativity. Um, is this idea of kind of posing some of the most common pitfalls, challenges that we see, particularly among entrepreneurs that are either just starting or maybe have like 1 to 2 years under their belt. So, listener, we're actually going to be kind of starting to talk about, we've talked before about the Regenerative Wealth Program on this podcast. And behind the scenes, we've had some people go through the cohort and we've identified some areas of refinement to support those who are particularly in their earlier stages of starting out, like how to really actually build the financial foundations you need in your business in order to effectively stand on them so that you can pay yourself, run the business, and eventually invest money, right? So that's kind of the ecosystem that we build here, right? In Expansive CEO, we support you to understand how do you set the financial foundation so that not only can you pay yourself and run the business, but that you can build enough wealth in order to invest and then go into the X squared side of things. Like that's how we do. That's how we roll. And just going through some of the programs that we've gone through with some of our recent clients, and then even on the X squared side, sometimes we see some of the same similarities. But what keeps kind of churning back to me is you brought up something that's going to be in the next iteration of the program. And it's the idea of the entrepreneurial roller coaster or pendulum. We're not and pendulum, right? We're going to talk about kind of how those two things are somewhat similar, but really wanting to gain your unique perspective and expertise of what that roller coaster looks like, kind of where it starts, what it looks like, and kind of most importantly, the most common pitfall you've seen entrepreneurs fall into as they're setting up these financial foundations, and then where they kind of, I'm going to say, get themselves in trouble
Mm-hmm.
when they have a big month and then they want to go do all these things with, kind of the windfall of a big month. And then you're kind of like, oh, maybe we think about how we do this differently. And that's what Expansive CEO exists for, is to really support those who are getting into this to build the right foundations. One, to minimize the roller coaster and pendulum, and two, also teach you how to build the right foundation so that you hopefully, if you run into this, you can manage, right? And it goes through the discovery, the alignment, and the expansion so that you don't feel that like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like stop of like, oh God, what do I do now?
Constriction,
Yes.
contraction. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So to start off, would love your, maybe 3-minute spiel of kind of the importance of setting up the foundation. And then just kind of like briefly talking about kind of the context for what that foundation is and why we set it up. And then we'll start talking about kind of what the roller coaster and the pendulum looks like, and then what to do because you have the context already set up.
Okay. So the foundation that we want to build, what does a solid financial foundation even look like? It looks like, when someone pays you, where it's going to go, you know what it needs to pay, you know how much you're going to have left from that in whatever sense. And so building the foundation looks like, okay, I have a full process of I know how I'm gonna get paid. I know exactly what accounts it's gonna go to. I know how I'm gonna pay myself from that, and I know how I'm gonna pay my taxes from that. That's like the absolute foundation. I know where the money's gonna flow and most importantly, how I'm gonna pay myself. Second in importance is how I'm gonna pay my taxes off of that, right? So and I mentioned taxes because this is actually one of the when you talk about pitfalls, we'll just see that being able to pay being not being able to pay your taxes even after a year with a windfall is actually an extremely common pitfall problem that entrepreneurs run into, and it's because they did not have this foundation set up in the first place. And so that's in the first gosh, what is that? So right now as we are redoing the regenerative wealth program, right now we have 10 modules and I would say the first 7. Yeah, the first 7 are basically, like, getting you to the place of, "Okay, I know what accounts I need to set up. I know, how much I need to pay myself. I know how much I'm spending in my business and in my personal life, so I know how much I need to target to make." And from that point, that's when we're like, "Okay, now we can start building offers," right, that will help get you to that revenue goal. The revenue goal, which by the way is also going to pay you, pay your expenses, and save for taxes and profit, right? That's the whole revenue goal. The entire revenue goal should get you to that place. We need to know what offers you're going to sell in order to get you to that revenue goal, and then from there, that's where the roller coaster usually starts.
Yeah, and I would say even just in some of our experiences too, the roller coaster of getting to that point, because oftentimes I know when I first started, I wasn't thinking about this, is that the conventional thinking is here's what I spend, so here's how much I need to make. And the beauty of the program is like, oh, well, um, let's refine that a little bit. It's actually above what you actually already spend because of
Yes.
what you said. Taxes, accounting for taxes, because here's the fun fact. A lot of people, and understandably so, want to minimize their tax burden. But if you make money, you have to pay taxes. Like that's just
Yes, and if you make money, if you own a business and you make money and you actually are able to pay yourself what you need to pay, that money is going to be taxable. Sure, there are loopholes here and there that you can like find, but that they are not one, they are not foolproof. Two, a lot of times the IRS cleans those up and comes back and prosecutes. It's just like you're just setting yourself up for more heartache and potential jail time if you are trying to constantly get your expenses down to get your expenses to the point where you're making 0 on paper.
yes.
And the truth is that you are going to be paying taxes in some way, shape, or form, whether it's payroll taxes and, federal, state and local and federal income taxes, all of it, like the whole tax ecosystem. But to your point, yeah, like a lot of people start from the thinking that I have to, or I spend $6,000 a month. So, or my like core expenses are $6,000 a month. So I just need to make $6,000 a month. I just need to have offers, that are going to get me there to $6,000 a month. And to your point, that doesn't take into account a whole bunch of other pieces of the ecosystem where, you know, if you need $6,000 a month total to cover expenses, you probably need more like 8 or 9 at least total, like 9,000 total revenue in order to comfortably pay yourself 6,000, even if your business expenses are very minimal. Um, and so we have like that's part of the whole first part of the program, right? Is to get you to that point of understanding that okay, we need to build in taxes, we need to build in a little bit of profit because that's also going to be part of our savings buffer, um, and teach you how to from the get go help you earn more than the bare minimum,
Yes.
because that is absolutely part of the roller coaster is like you make the bare minimum, you just squeak by, and then you'll have a big month, and then you take that big month and just spend it
Yes.
because it feels good to like finally have more than you need, and then you're stuck back in the okay, now we're just going to get by again for a little bit.
Yeah. So let's actually go right into that, right? So, for small business owners out there, like, exactly what you said. You had that big month and you're like, oh, this is more than I need. This is more than I calculated. Now I have the opportunity, exactly what you're saying, to go spend it, whether it's on yourself, putting it back into the business, or buying a coaching program for yourself, like investing, from a personal development standpoint. And when that happens, and when someone does that, what then tends to happen? Like, that's when we talk about the roller coaster or the pendulum. So when someone said that, what from your perspective tends to start to happen and you get into that cycle? What does that cycle look like and feel like for a business owner?
Yeah, it's such a good question. It- a lot of times I will see business owners come in that have been kind of on this cycle. Let's say you can do packages that are anywhere from, $3,000 to, $250,000. Like it can run the gamut, right? And I have clients in all of those. And let's say you've been not bringing in anything for a while. Like you've had months of zero income coming in, and then you land a big client that's a $200,000 client, and you start getting paid and you start doing the work. And okay, you've got some money that has come in, you're doing the work, you got to pay some contractors, you got money going out, and then you get that final payment in, and you've been kind of like really lean for 6 months, and now, off of that 200,000, you have another $80,000 sitting in your checking account. This is a real example. This is not a made up example. I'm just not giving you the name. Um, so you have $80,000 sitting in your business checking, and what happens in all those months of zero? You're living on credit cards or a line of credit, right? But for most of my business owners, it's usually credit cards. So now it's like, okay, I have this 80,000 sitting here and I have $60,000 of credit card debt that got me through those months of nothing. And those months of nothing, like I also have to pay taxes on this money because it's net profit, right? Like, okay, if there was 80 to $100,000 of net profit on this contract, you will have to pay taxes on. But you're looking at that credit card bill and like, my God, it would just feel so good to finish that. And you're also like, it would be so nice to hire someone to help with business development or to help with something else. And I have this money here and I can do that, right? And so we start to want to make up for what feels like lost time. We want, we want to pay off the debt. That feels really good when it's done, but let's say you do that, you have that $80,000, you're like, okay, I'm going to pay off, one and a half of these credit cards. So I'm gonna use $50,000 of this and pay off some of that debt. And okay, I need to move some to the personal accounts so we can pay the mortgage and we can, like that flows more easily. And I'm still waiting, like, okay, there's another contract coming. It hasn't paid yet. I know it's going to pay probably in the next 30 to 60 days. I'm going to get another influx in. And suddenly you're back down to $10,000 in the business account. And that other contract is like, oh, they're being slow. Yeah, they're not. It's going to wait and wait and wait until the last minute until like pick at them enough. Like, hey, can you please pay me? Oh, yeah, that got lost somewhere. Here, we'll pay you, right away. We're going to send it to through billing. Uh, and then the next thing you know, you're back on to using the credit cards because you don't have cash left to pay for the normal expenses of the business as you're waiting for that next invoice to pay. And then when we come, so to add insult to injury, basically, right? Like you got a great contract. You actually have another great contract and you have another one after that. But the roller coaster is you don't receive the money consistently. You receive it in big chunks and then have these long stretches of waiting. And so we have to build a way for you to pay yourself consistently from those windfalls. Because that's the only way, it truly is the only way that you're going to be able to pay yourself what you need on a month-to-month basis without going into more credit card debt and make sure that you save for your taxes. Because again, the insult to injury part is, all right, well, now, you actually did have a pretty hefty net profit over the year, even though you don't have anything left in your checking account. And we come to tax time and now you owe $45,000 in taxes. And you're like, well, I don't have that. Like that was last year money. I don't have that money because it got paid onto credit cards. It got, spent in the business. Whatever happened, it's not there in your hands. And I can't even tell you how many clients I've had come to me on the back of that exact scenario. That when I talk about how would it feel to be prepared so that next year that tax cycle doesn't happen, so many people raise their hand and go like, "Oh my God, that's the thing. How do I get out of that?" And again, the roller coaster itself is, you get in. It could be rather. Let me put it that way. I guess there's kind of like two scenarios that we are going to be able to talk about. But one of them is you either work with like large business clients and you get those big contracts, but you, by the nature of your work, only do several contracts per year, right? That's really common for different consultants. That yeah, maybe you're making 750, even $1 million a year, but it's not consistent. It's not coming in on a monthly basis, and it takes other people to do that work with you, and so you're paying a good amount out to contractors as well, and actually not quite charging enough to also account for what you need to pay yourself and save for taxes. Um, and that could also look like the other scenario where this fits really, really perfectly is, a like a coaching type business that does launches. Any business that goes in cycles of launch and then rest. So you'll get these really big, maybe you'll have like 3 times a year where you'll get these really big cash infusions. And then, some people will pay upfront 100%. Some people will choose a monthly option, right? So you'll get like not enough. It's not enough of a recurring revenue to cover your bills, but you have some. So you'll have like a little amount of recurring revenue and then these big influxes 3 times a year. And again, that's the roller coaster, the up and then down with the revenue, then up and then down of the revenue. We have to, even when your revenue is doing this thing,
Mhm.
looks like a heartbeat almost.
Yeah, for listeners, it's like a heartbeat. We're talking about the up and down, the peaks and valleys.
Yeah, you're getting these peaks and valleys, and the valleys can be long. How can your paycheck, your personal paycheck, even in this, your personal paycheck can just keep going steady all the way through? And that is a matter that can be done. It's really not that hard once you have the process established and you understand the percentages and how they work. Um, but it does take some time to be able to implement it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great lead in. So, from your perspective, like, what is the best way to manage the peaks and valleys and keep your personal paycheck steady so that you don't feel that consistent, maybe not constant, but that consistent pressure of, can I pay it? Right? Because you bring up a great point. When people have debt and then they've got this huge influx, the immediate rush is to, oh, I feel really good to pay all this off and I don't have this hanging over my head. Is there a different way? Is there a more effective way to manage the windfall to alleviate some of the stress that maybe you feel because of the debt and then help minimize any future stress because the valley that may be coming could be a lot longer than you think it's going to be.
Mhm. Yeah, so that, the first aspect of that is understanding your actual monthly need. So for the business and for your personal. So that's a really, really important aspect to smoothing out the roller coaster. So we have to understand on a regular month, how much does your housing cost? How much does your vehicle cost? How much do you spend on food? Right? Just what's your normal life? And in the business too, right? So that's why in the program there's one sheet for the personal spending, there's one sheet for the business spending. If you have a bookkeeper already, if you have QuickBooks set up already and you have a P&L statement and you can go look and it's all mapped out, that's great. You got your business spending down. Awesome. So we would need to then really dig into the personal and be really clear about what is true, not what is aspirational. That's one of the things every time I go through this exercise. And Lauren, you saw this a little bit, and you'll see it more as we go through more cases. People want to minimize their expenses. They want it when they report like, here's what we're actually spending. They want it to be like, well, it really should be this, or I'm paying for this right now, but that's going to be gone soon, and it's going to be this. And when that happens, like, my true response is like, I don't wanna know what could be, I wanna know how it actually looks right now. What would and in a sense, actually, let's go the other way aspirationally, what would actually be most comfortable? We need to know what is actually happening. So, we start from that place. So, let's say we do this exercise and we find out between your business and your personal, um again, let me go back to like a more real example. Let's say we actually need about $20,000 total. That's going to run the business and run the household comfortably. And your typical roller coaster is, some months will be $10,000 or 12, let's say $12,000, and some months will be 35 to 40. What we need to do is build up on those big months, save, like actually keep enough back that it can spread out over the lean months. And again, that might sound so easy. Might say like, oh, duh. If I make let's put it let's give it make it even a little bit easier actually number wise. Let's say I need to pay myself $10,000 a month as owner, and I have a $50,000 month. Like, great, I got several new clients in, cash collected. It's awesome. I literally have $50,000 sitting there. I have $20,000 on credit cards that I would love to pay off. But I need to pay myself 10 just to make sure that my life is okay. I've got some business expenses. And if I were to do that, if I take that $50,000 and be like, well, I'm going to pay myself a little bonus. I'm going to pay myself 15 because that feels fancy. Now I'm down to 35,000. I'd love to pay my credit card off completely. That's 20,000. Okay, now I've got 15 left. Oh, right, and my business expenses run anywhere from 5 to 6. Okay, so that is gone. Oh, right, and I was supposed to save 20% of that for taxes. Oh, that was supposed to be $10,000. I don't even have that left. And so now that money is gone, and here's the other issue. Typically, in a big month with most normal businesses, all small businesses, right? Either solopreneur or small firm, if you have a big month of sales, you're going to have another couple big months of delivery. You might not be able to take on another 20 to $30,000 of cash sales while you are in delivery mode for that big month you just received. And that happens so often. Right? And then when I have conversations with my clients who are stuck in that or starting in that, then you're like, you're down on yourself. Like, why isn't this working? Like, why don't I have any new sales calls? I'm just so stressed out. Like, I feel so terrible in this moment, even though you just had a phenomenal month that you're coming off. So with that instead, like, okay, then what do we do instead?
Yeah,
Right.
what's an alternative?
So let's
How do you make that $50,000 last?
So let's say exact same scenario. You get $50,000 in. You know you're going to have at least 1 month where sales are probably going to be light because you're going to be in delivery mode, and you've done your planning, and okay, I have to save 15% off the top for taxes. That's a good place to start. I do 20 usually, personally, like me. Uh, at least 15. So the very first thing we're actually going to do is take that 50, and we're going to take 7,500 of it, 7,500, 15%, put that over in the tax savings account. First thing, before you even pay yourself, put your tax money away. You're not going to touch it. You're not going to look at it till tax time. Or when you pay estimated, however you work that. So now you've got 42,500. You need to pay yourself $10,000 a month. You do have $20,000 on a credit card that it would feel better if it was a little bit lower. Okay, well, you've got 42,000. You've got some business expenses that are going to be running alongside. Let's say you're going to need 6,000 a month, so 12,000 of that at least for 2 months of business expenses. You could then look at that and say, then I have about $30,000 that's excess, quote unquote, for right now. I'm going to pay myself 10. I am going to maybe put $5,000 on the credit card. I'm not going to pay it off. I'm going to pay it down by like 5 grand. And that means I still have another $15,000 of excess that I'm holding on to. It's just going to sit in the account. And I'm going to know next month I can pay myself with no problem. I can pay my expenses with no problem. And then, we're going to have to get in more sales at that point. But even after month 2, I'm still going to have a buffer. I'm still going to have a $5,000 buffer. When we look at it that way, then it's like, okay, then we had a big delivery, we had a big sale month, then we had a delivery month, and then, oh, look at that. Then we had another, let's say a normal sale month. Let's say we brought in another $20,000. You're still on track. If we extend that out, if we make that even bigger, let's do a launch example. You launch, I've seen this several times as well. You have an amazing launch, $500,000 of cash in. And your team is bigger, you have a little bit more expenses, so you've got $500,000 that came in, but your business expenses, just business, are about $25,000 a month. Your personal expenses, maybe we'll say it's the same, you're $10,000 a month that you need to be able to pay yourself. So you've got $35,000 a month that you have to be able to pay off of that 500, right? So I'm gonna get the calculator. 35 is not an easy. 500,000 divided by 35,000 is technically 14 months. But what else did we have to account for?
Taxes.
Taxes. We wanna account for some profit and savings. Um, and you might see that at first glance, you might be like, okay, well, fine. I'll like pay for 6 months. I'll save 6 months of that. 35,000 times 6. $210,000 is 6 months of being able to pay my expenses. I can reinvest in my business with almost 300 grand. Or I could pay off something huge. I could pay off, I could hire, this coach that's going to be 100 grand. And before you know it, you've actually like really, really chipped away. So if off that 500,000, if we stick with the 15%, if we put 15% away, 75,000 off the top into the tax account. Now we're at 425. Okay. That's the very first thing, absolutely every time. Take your taxes off the top. And then 425 divided by your $35,000 need. Come on. You can do this. There we go. Now we're at 12 months. So technically you have 12 months after you pay for your taxes that you could keep the business flowing easily. That's where we then look at, okay, how often are you launching? How often are your launches this successful? Right? Because what I've seen over and over is that coaching businesses will get to the end, like start getting to the end of that cash reserve, and then the stress just like ramps up like crazy. And like, we have to start something. It has to work. It has to, right? Like all the pressure builds because the cash is gone. So if you're selling a 1-year mastermind and that's your launch and you barely have 1 year. That's all you got. And there is actually no extra to do anything different than just deliver what you just sold. So there has to be something else within that. But you might, again, the roller coaster you might not recognize that, oh, I just got $500,000 into my business. Like you said, I want to be in that room. I want to go on those expensive retreats. I want to take that, $50,000 vacation. I want to take my team to the restaurant and spend, $15,000. We're flush with cash. And then, 7 months in, you're like, we don't have anything left. We have to figure out something else. And it's, again, most of the time, businesses are banking on their expenses are going to be high enough that what we we spent on meals for the team. We spent it on, we did a group vacation for this, like trying to be creative with expenses so that they can live the lifestyle that they want to live or do the things they want to do and write it off by the business so that off of that $500,000 they didn't actually, they don't want to save that 75,000 of taxes and keep it aside. Um yeah, those are the two that are coming up. Those examples.
Yeah. And it's the and that's what the beauty of this program that we're working on, or the new iteration of it, is to really kind of break things down into bite-sized chunks to understand, yes, there is a lot to build on the back end of how to set up the financial foundation. But like anything, once it's there, and once you understand how to build upon that foundation, and I hate to use this corporate word that's about to come out of my mouth, but like the levers you need to push and pull, to help you understand. And that's the beauty of this program, is that it's more than just here's what you need. It's about here's why you need it, and here's when you have it, that you have to be in a position to think about it differently, because like 500,000 is 500,000, and it's numbers and you can chunk it up any way you truly want. I mean, at the end of the day, right? No one's gonna no one's behind there being like, no, I can't do that. But to help avoid the stress and the constant worry of, is this gonna work? Am I gonna make it? Is to have that discipline and to build that discipline into how you view money. Though at the same time, on your relationship with money, so that you can avoid feeling as if you need to control it, or avoid you feeling like it's got to control you. And that's actually a conversation that you and I have had a lot behind the scenes, is that, no matter how your money story cookie crumbles, right? It's kind of, it falls into one of those two camps. And from your expertise, like and we talk about this all the time, but I don't think it can be talked about enough, is like the importance of the emotional side of it, and how you've built that into the program, so that as we're looking at the numbers, or as you're looking at the numbers, you're also working on the underlying current
Hmm.
that you're dealing with money, and how y- your reasoning behind building that into the program to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from experience with clients and my own personal experience for sure, but then like the on the ground, seeing what clients actually need in order to be able to make decisions from that place of clarity rather than fear, is the main undercurrent emotionally. So I'm thinking about a particular client who does fit this mold pretty well, that in their business they'll have some recurring monthly, um, but a lot of their clients do like to do, like, yeah, I just want to pay in full. And I mean, we've worked together for several years now, actually, and it wasn't until really the second year. So this is the other thing that we have to is worth mentioning is that this is not always done in the like, here's the information, you have it, now you're good. You're going to be able to do it immediately right away and never have a problem again. The actual truth is it usually takes at least 12 to 24 months, sometimes 36, to get through the full business cycle of what has been happening and let that play itself out and while we're putting new systems in place. It's really, really important. This is not usually there are some pieces that might feel like immediate satisfaction, immediate fix, but that's very little compared to the longer term work that usually has to be done. So this particular client, we noticed after like a good full year of working together, being able to look back at the P&L, and they didn't know this about themselves because in the times where there weren't like consistent sales happening, they get super down on themselves. Like really like maybe I should just close this business. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with the business. Like people don't want what's happening. And then when we look at the P&L, it's the launches that they do at different times of year are phenomenal. And I look at it and I go, "You're really good at launching." The way that their energy works, we bring in the human design side, we bring in, all of that. Just the way that this client's energy works, they are phenomenal at launching. And, launching a retreat, launching a mastermind, launching whatever it is, it's like these different times throughout the year when the creative energy is there and the excitement is there, it just moves. It's easy. But then in in the months where there's not a new launch happening, that's when it's the smaller recurring revenue of people paying monthly. It doesn't cover the full expenses. And we had to take that time to then say, okay, off those launches, this is the model that we put in place. Off those launches, we need to save into the tax account off the top, and then we need to leave the money there. We need to leave the money in the business to, help support through those months.
Uh-huh.
Um, the emotional side, I'm like, where was I going with this? Um, and seeing that, like being able to notice them saying this over and over again, like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my business? Why can I not make it, make the recurring revenue bigger or steadier? And then then we take the data, we look at the data, we look at the historical process, we look at when they're most excited and see, oh, it's because this is how you work most naturally. We need to match how you're utilizing, how you're spreading out your income, your revenue. We need to match that to what you need on a monthly basis, right? So keep the money in the business, be able to pay yourself regularly so that when those feelings come up of I'm worthless, it's not working, like that we can look back and say, no, you literally just launched something that made $90,000. You're not doing anything wrong because it's the we were just talking about this the other day. The emotions, especially fear and uncertainty and feeling like you don't know if it's enough, you don't know if you're doing good enough. All of those feelings thrive on ambiguity. All of those feelings can really like take hold and start to like direct your decision making when you allow yourself to not know your numbers. And as soon as we actually have solid financial data, that's when those feelings, we can start to match them up against reality. And I've seen this countless times. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Right? This could be a billionaire and this could be someone just starting out. Uh, uh, Full serious.
Yes.
The money stories will run the show, especially in the presence of that ambiguity. If you're afraid to look at the numbers, or if for any reason you can't see the numbers, you're always going to make decisions from fear. You're always going to feel like it's not enough. You're always going to be in this stress cycle. So that's one of the reasons in the program and in X squared and in all the work that we do, the data is really important.
Yes.
Having good numbers, having good data, it is the foundation for being able to do the emotional work. I'm just going to say it. It's why money coaching and money mindset coaching and money energetics coaching typically doesn't actually provide any real results. We need both. Our nervous system needs to understand the data.
Yes. It needs the logic and the abstract. It needs the hard and the soft. It needs the art and the science, because that's harmony, right? And our nervous systems, for I don't know if that's what I'm looking for, but they operate optimally in harmony. And and in our experiences, even some of the most recent client interactions we've had, is that the the moment things start to shift is when there are black and white numbers in front, and the conversation around, what is this bringing up? How do you feel about this? Sort of thing, and kind of the continual conversations. And the beauty of this program that we're working behind the scenes to iterate is that it helps set. It's not just about setting the financials foundation. It's about setting the foundation, or transforming your current foundation with money. And then understanding that there are nuances that, because you've never run a business before, you may not think about. And the program exists to support you in seeing the bigger picture, so that as you grow and move into your business, and that business eventually expands and you have extra cash to do something with, that's where the investment part comes in. And how the ecosystem or the trajectory or the fractal works.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw it with our most recent new client in X squared, the when the income is really popping, right? And you're like, you're doing great. You have more, you have done such a phenomenal job growing this business, and now you do literally have more than you need,
Yes.
and you have the ability to start putting away good sized chunks, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year for the future. But the nervous system still isn't matched up with that reality yet, again, because of the ambiguity. So when it was ambiguous, when it was, I don't know if I'm doing the right things, I don't know how much we're spending, I don't know how much I feel like I'm supposed to save some of this extra cash that's sitting here, but I don't know how much I can, and have it be safe. As soon as we illuminate the numbers and we get that, again, like you said, the black and white of it, mapped out, the nervous system automatically recalibrates.
In that moment too.
In right. It's immediate.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And that moment of realization, um, is the one that then allows you to start making decisions from a new space, from a place of not even it's not certainty. We don't need certainty. We're never gonna have ultimate certainty, but it's from a foundation, from a place of what feels like a solid foundation.
Yeah. A place of regulation.
Yes. Well, and even so that new client was an X squared, even thinking about, in Expansive CEO with the regenerative wealth program, same thing, right? When we were talking about building out the offers this past week with our client, it was that same, like, that feeling of, oh, well, I could do that. Like, I don't, how am I, here's my goal, here's my income goal that I'm supposed to hit. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And then using the calculator, seeing the numbers and saying, oh, well, I could shoot for that. That feels possible. And it's grounded in reality.
Yes.
If in that particular case for that client, here's your income goal. Here's the package you want to offer. If you got, if you sold 2 of those a month, you hit your income goal. And immediately the emotion that came up was like, "Oh, I wanna try that. Oh, that feels possible. Oh, that feels exciting." That particular client is a generator, so that's really important.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that just very
Oh,
satisfying.
great, yeah, oh, yeah, I wanna do that. Like, the doing is, like, already happening. Um, but it always that's I think that's the most important thing I can stress even in the roller coaster, conversation is that the awareness, mapping it out, seeing it laid out in front of you, in front of your eyes, to be able to then one, it could even be to confirm, it feels like unsteady. And then when we map it out and you see, yeah, it is, right? Then it like makes you feel like, "Oh, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy." But okay, then how do we fix it?
Yeah.
Right? And then but we can't truly make those plans to what's the way to fix it until we see it.
Yeah. And what was super interesting about the experience that we had this week is that as we're building this program behind the scenes, it is designed to be a step by step so that if you are new to this and you haven't necessarily thought really in depth about your offers, that there's parts of the program that helps you whittle this down and get to where you think you want to go. With this particular client, she already had an idea of what her offers were. And what was really interesting about the experiment, our experience walking through this is that she had 3 different offers, and the way that the program is designed, you can put all of these in and you can see kind of the math behind them. It's exactly what Hannah was saying, is like to bring awareness. And when we got to one particular offer, her highest priced offer, when we were talking about price, she named a price initially and was like, "I think this is what I want it to be." And I think again, you did this intentionally of like, "Okay, well, let's just lower it for a little bit. Let's just lower it and see what that does." Um, and and then we went through it and the math, she was like, "Oh, okay, well, that doesn't feel as great." And then through your prodding and coaching, well, what if we raised it back to the price that you originally were like apprehensive about? And she put it in and we talked through it and we went through it and the math figured out. And she's like, "Oh, exactly what you're saying. Oh, yeah, that feels really good." And so part of seeing the numbers and how it truly plays out and how that plays into your goal, your revenue goal, it helps solidify confidence that yes, I can now, in a sales conversation, say that to a prospective client with confidence. Yes, this is how much this is worth. This is the value that you get inside of this. When without kind of seeing the numbers and raising the awareness, she could still potentially have that, yeah, in a sales call, right? That apprehension of, yeah, it's not, like,
What? How
yeah,
much? How much?
yeah. And oftentimes, as particularly starting out as a business owner, it can be very hard to have that first conversation or even the first 10 conversations of the price that you are putting on your offer. But building that awareness and through the calculator and seeing it in front of you and being able to work through and again, push and pull the levers of kind of all that looks like is build the confidence that yes, this offer is worth this much. I see that now. And that's the beauty too of this program is that, not only are you working through kind of lining up your business to be able not only to pay for you or to pay yourself to keep the business running, but then to invest is that you're building your confidence in what you're building
Mhm.
because a lot of programs don't have that out there. It's kind of like just slap that offer out there and see what happens.
Right, and that as you were talking, like, I had another, um, piece come up around what was that? It's around the confidence piece of, again, like, having the awareness, um, but it's also the way that so many other, like, programs teach you to calculate things.
Mhm.
I mean, I was at an event last year where they did, like, a money module. That's not what the event was for, it wasn't about that, but they did that exact calculation. If you need $10,000 or want $10,000 a month, provide take your offer and figure out how many you need to sell in order to make 10,000 a month. And another friend who's a fractional CFO, was there with me, and he was like, "Just FYI, I wanna go up on and, like, steal the microphone from her right now." I'm so pissed. I was like, "I know, oh my god." But, like, in my brain, what I didn't realize until he said that was I was already grossing up for taxes before it was even, what do I need to make? But there was 0 mention of that, and literally that's harmful advice to give someone. You wanna make $10,000 a month? Your offer is, $5,000, you just sell 2. Where did that $10,000 come from? Where did that number come from? We need to understand the full context. The other and most programs also that was the other thing I was thinking is, like, there is an element of we are building from understanding your expenses first and then building offers, which, especially for a new business owner, like, that's kinda what you have to do. Right, like, that was part of, this client that we were working with today. She had a couple of offers that are, like, one-off, one-on-one things, and it's like, I don't know, like, $75 to maybe $125 for an hour session, and especially someone in, like, a healing or helping space that can feel good. Like, "Oh, so yeah, if I made $75 for that for 1 hour, that feels great." And then when you look at the math, it's like, "Uh-huh," and, in order to have $5,000 per month of that, hold on, let me do that math real quick. You have to sell 67 of those. you have to have 67 people come in. And so 60, maybe that doesn't seem like a lot in hours over the course of a month. But when you start selling stuff, I want, like anyone who's been in business for any length of time, like, yeah, go ahead and start and like see if 67 people are knocking on your door to set an appointment right away. They're not. It takes time. And that's where, like, am I going to have 70, 80, 90 conversations to get people, in the door? Or am I going to have a $3,000 offer that is very much in line with who I am and what I do and my expertise and my credentials and all these things where I need two of those? Am I more likely to have 5 or 6 conversations that turn into 2 clients or 90 conversations that turn into 67 clients? You know? And, so that we're giving it a framework that fits into a real life rather than, you're starting a I don't know, like, you could be starting a business for fun. That could be a thing
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you are starting a business for fun and you literally do not need the money, yeah, that conversation is probably different. But most of our clients and all the clients that I've worked with, their business is their livelihood. It needs to work. It's not a hobby. It's not a nice to have. It's a need to have. And so then we do have to build it from how much money. This goes back to the roller coaster, it goes back to everything else we've been talking about. We really do need to understand first how much your life costs, how much your business costs per month to run. And how do we then plan for taxes? How do we plan for profit and savings? And oh, that was the last thing I wanted to mention was that even earlier when I was talking about, like the $500,000 example, and I said 15% is $75,000, there could be some people listening to that are like, that's all the taxes you're going to save off of $500,000. Why aren't you saving like $250,000? That's what I was taught. No, you probably don't need to save half, but that is also why it does need to be a conversation. We do need to understand the full scope of the business because yeah, if you can launch a $500,000 offer and your only expenses are like $200 a month for Zoom and software, like and there are businesses like that, right? Where your expenses are very, very low, then yes, we do need to change that percentage. We do need to dial your taxes to be in line with your level of expenses. So I just wanted to have that caveat there that that can be something that needs to be considered. But if you're running if you're running a 7-figure business, multi 7-figure business, and you have a team and you have, systems and marketing, if you have marketing, anything like that, then, that's why that 15% figure, 15% off of the gross total, um, is at least a good starting point to start from. So just wanted to add that in there too. That yes, you might need to save more for taxes. Like I said, I save personally between 20 and 25 depending on the year because my expenses are they're a little higher right now, but they have been relatively low. Um, but we have to dial it. We have to understand your actual situation.
Yes. And, for the listeners out there is that we've built the iteration and we're actually using it with current clients to see how it lands, see how it works, work out the kinks. Because, this is really going to be designed as a self study so that, as you're starting out, you're getting into it, you can work your way through it. And we are building in things that you have the opportunity to ask questions and come. But that is part of what's really important is that as we work through this, we're actually using it with clients. It's something that can be utilized and understood and you know, building as much expertise in there and things to think about without throwing, you know, everything and the kitchen sink at you to avoid overwhelm. But I mean, that's the brilliance behind Hannah's system is that it is simple to understand and to implement, but it does take work and a little bit of oomph on your part as a business owner to set the foundation and have the discipline to do that. Anything else you want to end with regarding the roller coaster or just setting your financial foundations in general?
Just that both setting your foundations and illuminating what's actually what am I going to say? Like what kind of roller coaster it is, right? There are different go to Six Flags, there are lots of different roller coasters, right? What kind of roller coaster are we dealing with? Um, and setting your financial foundations, again, all of that really truly stems from awareness. And so, um, being able to look at your finances from a place of I'm open to seeing what's actually true is the first step. And then we can build from there. And of course, from expansive CEO and X squared side, I'm open to seeing what's actually there, including the emotions that come up as I look at the money. Like getting just all of that is data and we need the data. You need the data as you're going through if you're going through the course by yourself, whatever you're doing, regarding money, being able to look at it and also still love yourself while you look at it. That's the goal. If you can do that, if you can still love yourself while you look at your money, no matter what is happening, that is, oh gosh, is that it? I think that's the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you can be so empowered to do whatever the next step is if you still love yourself while you look at whatever it is you're seeing.
yes. And accept that any and every version of you that got yourself there, regardless if it was easy, hard, you felt shame, you felt guilt, you felt elation, you felt joy.
Mhm. Awareness, acceptance.
Action. Huh.
Off we go.
Love
And that, dear friends, is the framework for expansive CEO. It's awareness, acceptance, and action. Yep.
absolutely. So, dear listener, we are still working on the iterations of this program, but this is the crux of supporting you. And one of the analogies of Hannah's that I always love is like we have to understand where you start. We also have to understand where you're going. And you can say Portland, but is that Portland, Maine, or is it Portland, Oregon? And that's what this program helps you uncover or discover, as we talk about, right? Our discovery, alignment, expansion. Um, and so we are continuing to work on these iterations and working in real time with real clients to make sure that once it's out there, it's as perfect as it can be at every iteration to support you in building the financial foundations that are going to be right for you.
Yep.
So hats off to Hannah.
Well, thank you. And hats off to you for going through it and being like, hey, I see where this can be more efficient and impactful and what we're missing. This has been it's been years in the making. Truly. The first time I delivered the expansive CEO, it was called the Expansive CEO program. And that started in the fall of 2022. is when like this impetus, this desire to help people build these foundations who weren't ready for X squared. That I mean, it started. I mean, that's almost 4 years ago now, and the foundation for this program and the first iteration of this program and all. I mean, it's been so. It has been a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of um, frustration from like on my part of like what's yeah, just like rah, like it's not right yet. It's got to keep. And so, when Lauren came in and looked at it and did the whole course and all of the um, refining, I feel like that has come from us working on it together has been really
Mhm.
special. And so
Absolutely.
I feel like this is the best version for by far that is about to roll out. Um, so I'm excited.
Yes, very excited. And also, that's a beautiful point is that as entrepreneurs, stuff changes, right? Things require iterations, and once this program is out there and you go into it, you have it for life, so that as your business changes, you can go back in and plug in numbers and see numbers differently. And if your products change, your offers change, and pricing changes, or all these things, that you have the ability to put all of this in and see the numbers at a different lens, because you're now utilizing different energy, maybe have more people in on it, whatever the case may be. But
Expenses have changed.
yes,
That's such a big one. That's such a big one, actually. When you just said that, I was like, "Oh my god, yeah." When people's expenses change and they don't change their offers, that's such a huge point of again internal conflict of like, "What's wrong with me? What's going on? Why is this? Everything was fine, and now it feels like it sucks and it's hard and
yeah,
what's happening?"
yes,
Yeah, it's your expenses changed and your offers didn't. And yes, you have access for life as we make iterations and changes and make it better. You'll get those updates. That's the beauty of it. And you can go back into the spending. Okay, what's my spending now? All right, you can go back into the percentages. What are my new percentages that I need to look at? All right, now let's flow that all the way over to the offers. And now you can see why your offer that used to just knock it out of the park. Oh, instead of having to sell 6 of those a month, now it would take 15. Oh, shit. Okay. Awareness.
yes, yes. Awareness, acceptance, action.
Yeah, such a good point.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's leave it there for now. And let's see, this one's coming out the 21st. So, in 8 days, dear listener, we will have a very fun thing happening. Super exciting. We're going to tell you all about it. Um, 21, 28. Oh, so next week's
Yeah.
episode, we will have all of the details and you'll be able to hear the full thing because it'll be a day before. So,
Yeah. We were struggling with calendar math, apparently.
yeah, I'm sorry. I do financial math, not calendar math. Um, but know that that's coming on Substack. You can go if you go follow us right now on Substack at Expansive CEO, you'll see announcements as soon as they drop. And we'd love to have you. And if you have any questions, actually, we're going to direct you over there. Go to Substack. Send us questions on Substack. We would love that. Anything else?
No, absolutely not. This has been a beautiful conversation. I think it came right down to the good conclusion.
Perfect. All right. Well, we will see you next week. Have an awesome, awesome week, everyone. And yeah, be aware. Just see what things you want to be aware of and start noticing things. That's it.
Bye, friends.